If we're taking a month as a country to showcase our pride for other communities of sexual exploration.
Told you they were trying to be all secret, calling it MAPS.
Stephen Ireland, founder of Pride in Surrey, has been jailed for the rape and abuse of a 12-year-old boy, crimes that many believe could have been prevented. Concern about Ireland's conduct were raised as early as 2021, including warnings about his self-appointed role as a safeguarding lead, his relationship with an 18-year-old boy, actually just an 18-year-old, and him sending sexually explicit material at Pride events. Whistleblowers who tried to raise the alarm were met with resistance, bans and legal threats. One of those on the wrong end of Ireland's threats was the LGBT Alliance. When in 2021, Ireland wrote a furious letter to a charity commission saying that the LGBT Alliance should not have charitable status and was a very dangerous organisation. Turns out that he was a very dangerous individual. To discuss this difficult story is Kate Harris from the LGBT Alliance. Welcome to the show, Kate.
Before we get into it with her, I want to tell you this one is difficult, as you can see. I think it's going to be difficult for a lot of us to watch, but it's extremely important to discuss this because many of us have been seeing this happen, especially with this idea that they can change the language and call these P people MAPS, minor attracted people, as if that's going to make it any less of a disgusting thing. That being said, I want to just say that it's hard. This is a hard one for me, but it's just hard. This is hard. I was really sitting with it for a long time because I just find any of this stuff, and you know how I care a lot about the kids and just the whole transing of kids, and now this kind of nonsense. And these people who are within the LGBTQIA poo-poo community have been hiding in plain sight. And we're all raising the alarm. LGBT Alliance has been raising the alarm. A lot of us have been raising the alarm about these creepy weirdos like Lily Tino. And, you know, it's my opinion. Okay, these are all, that's alleged. What we're talking about today is a fact. And this person, Stephen Ireland, has been convicted of a minor child and doing the most disgusting stuff. Who knows how many others? It's so insane. So I want to just say thanks so much for helping support my channel and helping me to bring these very important stories within the LGBTQIA people community, because a lot of people don't want to talk about this because it does have a very negative effect on things, and we already have bad stereotypes. It's why I talk about the trans nonsense going on, because we do get stereotyped and then it becomes something, but there are bad people in every community. There's bad people, and these kind of people, I don't care if it's the LGBTQIA people community, they need to be exposed. And it's disgusting that they're even hiding and that people in our community think this stuff is okay. So with that, thanks again. I do appreciate the like and subscribe to the channel. So let's go into this because she has some really important thing to say here.
The whole story is, of course, horrible. But when you read about how there were people, whistleblowers, raising concerns years before this came to light, can you just tell us about that first of all, some of these whistleblowers and their stories?
I can. I've been working with several of them over the last few weeks leading up to the sentencing last Monday. But before we talk about any of that, I just want to take a moment to think about the courage it took for the 12-year-old boy who was raped, who was given crystal meth, who was abused, whose trust was destroyed by Stephen Ireland. He had the courage not only to speak to his teacher, but to go to the police. And I think this case raises so many horror stories. But at the heart of it is this one boy we know about, but we suspect there may be many others. But I really think he deserves a huge amount of credit for the courage and the guts that took, which ended up in this evil man being sentenced to 30 years and his sidekick, David Sutton, to 4.5 years. So let's never forget that that was a real kid who was involved in this. And secondly, I want to thank the Surrey Police under Chief Constable Tim DeMeyer, who saw this difficult case through. And in addition, a group called Women of Surrey, who became a kind of citizen reporting group and sat through every single day of what was the most appalling evidence, unbelievable evidence.
Wow.
The things that are now coming out in public.
So I'm going to bring you now, I'm going to show you this, right? It's just like mind-blowing. It's disgusting and mind-blowing. So here, I want to read this is from BBC. Pride group founder jailed for rape of boy 12. My kiddo is 12. My kiddo. I just can't. Okay, here's the sicko. Okay, here's Stephen Ireland, who was the head. So I'll read a little bit of this, and then a man has been jailed for 24 years for raping an extremely vulnerable 12-year-old boy after the pair met on a dating app. Stephen Ireland, 41, who co-founded Pride in Surrey in 2018, the child at the flat he shared with his then partner and co-defendant David Sutton, who's 27. Okay, after they started messaging on Grindr. Ireland was also, how did a 12-year-old boy get on Grindr? Ireland was also sentenced to a further 6 years for extended license, while Sutton was jailed for 4.5 years for making indecent photographs of children and possession of extreme images. I want to scroll down here. Here's the other dude, David Sutton, who is 27. The boy referred to in court as Child A, who had been reported missing at the time, told police they had sex in the flat, smoked a bong, which was later found to have contained methamphetamines, and that pornography was played on a laptop. The court heard the boy had initially told Ireland he was age 17. But when he later claimed to be age 13, Ireland put, okay, we just have to keep it a secret. Your response was telling, Judge said, who sat in the dock dressed in a large red t-shirt and showed no emotions. Far from finding the repugnant, you found that exciting and sought to do it again, said the judge. I'll link this so you can read it because it's disgusting. The fact that the kid said they were 17, okay, but they were 12. Come on, man. Do you see a 12-year-old and a 17-year-old? They look completely different. So don't even try it, dude. You just got moded and busted. I found a couple other things I wanted to show you about this person. Here, let's see if this one.
See your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you.
I really appreciate you joining me again today, and we've got some more news, this time from the UK. Thank you to everybody that supports the channel. This first story is from Surrey, and it involves a man called Stephen Ireland, who is the founder of Gay Pride in the area, which is a march that takes place every single year up and down the country. Himself, along with David Sutton, who is 27 years old, have been found guilty of multiple child offences earlier this year, and they have both been sentenced at Guildford Crown Court on the 30th of June 2025. Stephen Ireland, 40 years old, from Addlestone, was sentenced to 24 years in prison with a further 6 years on extended licence after being found guilty of the rape of a child under 13 years old and 3 counts of causing a 13-year-old to engage in sexual activity and a assault of a 13-year-old as well.
Gross.
He also faced other charges such as conspiracy to engage in sexual activity with children, arranging the commission of a child sex offence, 6 counts of making indecent images, 4 counts of distributing indecent images, possession of prohibited images, and possession of extreme prohibited images.
He was taking pornographic images of this poor kid after getting him to smoke meth. And then the fact that this kid came forward, what Kate said is just incredible, that the kid had, the sort of strength to do that. I can't even imagine. I found so much shit on this dude. This is Stephen Ireland talking to a little kid. It doesn't really say how old he is, but he's talking to this little kid about the use of PrEP. And if you don't know what PrEP is used in the community to prevent HIV during sexual activity. But why is he talking to this little child right here about that? And how is that even a thing? So he's talking to a little kid about the use of PrEP.
In terms of education, then, obviously we touched upon the fact that teachers sometimes could pussyfoot around the subject rather than get straight talking and to the point. But sex is something that youngsters have, people that are of age have, and onwards. Has anyone sat down with you at school or in education and said, this is PrEP and this is what it does? Just a good test. The PrEP is basically a medication that means that somebody that is sexually active won't be able to catch the HIV disease because they're on PrEP, and it stops the spread of the HIV infection.
How is he having access to these young kids? Because he is the head of the Surrey LGBT Pride Center. They're everywhere, these people. They're hiding in plain sight. It's so disgusting and gross, and it makes me so mad that these people have infiltrated our community. I just think it's so upsetting on so many levels. We've really pushed that's why I told you kids shouldn't be in trans spaces, or everything in the LGBT community is for adults. But here we have prides with all these things, and here it is. It's literally falling. It's because we let these people in under the guise of this is a sexuality. Now, is now considered a sexuality. That's why they renamed it MAPS. Okay, so because I have this.
And I'm a licensed professional counselor and sex therapist in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I want to talk about minor attracted persons because they are probably the most vilified population of folks in our culture. You may have noticed that I'm using the term minor attracted persons, sometimes abbreviated to MAPS, instead of the more commonly used term. Wow. And I'm doing this because the term has moved from being a diagnostic label to being a judgmental, hurtful insult that we hurl at people in order to harm them or slander them.
These people are so sick. This is a sex therapist, okay, trying to cushion. It's an insult to be called a. Yeah. Look, let me say something. It would just be horrifying to have that. I think most definitely it needs to be studied. What is up with that? It is sick. It is not okay. The person is mentally ill. It's not a sexuality, in my opinion. Okay? In my opinion, it is not a sexuality. These are children who cannot consent to sex with an adult. So, no, it is not a sexuality. No, it is not okay. And yes, we should be studying it. And yes, these people should be locked up somewhere so they're away from kids. They can't control themselves. And then we have weirdos like this lady who's a sex therapist and wants to cushion it because now we need to call it MAPS because is now an insult. It's always been an insult, lady. Like, you're gross and you're part of the problem. I'm so mad about these people. So I want to bring up this one that I found. I'm trying to show you how this, so beginning with this Stephen Ireland dude getting busted and for doing this stuff, and we don't even know how many other kids, right? So then, kids they're accessible on the internet to these people. So remember, found him on Grindr, 12 years old. And now, as I'm showing you this, I want to show you how now it's sort of, these weirdo people want to add it to the LGBTQIA community so that it becomes normalized. Remember before I showed you that lady who was talking about sexual and how they try to normalize these behaviors. So this is the same thing. They're trying to normalize this deviant, disgusting behavior. So as two adults, I don't care what you do. Lick each other's feet and bounce down the street as a beach ball, like I told you before. I don't really care. Those are two consenting adults. But you keep children out of this. And so I'm sort of trying to create a story here for you. And I know I'm all kind of yelling because I'm just so god dang mad about this whole thing.
That's illegal. Well, I just don't believe we should be shunning those in our community that have desires to engage in a romantic relationship with someone in a drastically different age group.
Oh my God.
So you're saying you support pedophiles?
I'm saying I support love.
Okay.
And just because America views ages like 18 as some sort of imaginary bar or a line in the sand for humans to engage in romantic relationships doesn't mean it's right.
So you don't see anything wrong with a 20-year-old dating a 12-year-old?
That's not what I'm saying, but listen,
Yeah, it is.
in Nigeria, the
Yeah, it
age
is.
of consent is 11.
We're not in
It's 14
Nigeria.
in other countries like Brazil, Colombia. If we're taking excuse me, if we're taking a month as a country to showcase our pride for other communities of sexual exploration, then I think we should add the letter P, which is just as important as the LGBT.
Oh my.
Caller believes P should be added to the LGBT to include pedophiles. I told you, see, they're trying to normalize it. They're calling it a sexuality. And in Nigeria, they marry 12-year-old. We're not in Nigeria, lady. You go live in Nigeria. We're in America, and we have to protect these kids from you freaks. What? Oh my God, the way they legitimize it, try to legitimize it is oh my God. So you better stay away from me, far away from me. Okay, so I found this one.
Why do the pedophiles care about lesbians, bisexuals, homosexuals, and transgenders? If I am a pedophile, I don't want to go to jail. I'm a celebrity, I'm famous, ritualistic is what we do with kids. Wow. It's part of our demonic culture. Wow. I want pedophilia to become normal. I want it stricken from the criminal code altogether. I'm going to push LGBTQ because if a child is old enough to decide I never want to have children, take my testicles, take my ovaries. If an 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old child is old enough to make those 3 decisions, how can you argue that they're not old enough to decide to have sex? The argument of the pedophile is going to be backed up by this LGBT crusade against our children because in their sick minds, they are rationalizing the argument before the courts. Wow. If he's old enough to say, I don't want my testicles, if she's old enough to say, I never want to have children, if he's old enough to say, I want to live my life as a girl, if she's old enough to say, I want to live a life as a boy and I don't care about having kids, and she can say this at 12, is she not also old enough to decide when she's ready to have sex? That is going to be the argument that the pedophiles are going to take into court. LGBTQ is the mask the pedophile movement wears to get their agenda pushed.
Says it all right there. You see what's happened to the LGBT community? Crazy people. Crazy. I will always tell you this, and I tell you this story all the time. I remember in the 80s when NAMBLA, National Association of Man Love, tried to hitch their wagon onto the LGBT space. And people were like, you better get out of here now. We're not going to put up with that nonsense. But little by little, they cracked queer theory, trans kids, non-binary, children know who they are at 5 or birth or born. They just little by little cracked that space. And now calling it MAPS, this dude just said it all. And I'm ashamed to even be a part of a community that would do this to children. It's sick and twisted and not what actual LGBT people are. These people are twisted weirdos. And I know, I can't even get the words out because I want to say so many things that will get me shut down that I can't. I don't even know if I have to bleep out the thing here because I don't even know if I found these videos on YouTube, so I don't know if I have to bleep this out or if we're allowed to say the word now, even though it's an actual word. And we need to be able to say these things. We need to have these conversations. I found this, which I'm leaving you with this because this blew my mind. And at first I didn't think it was real. I thought it was one of those sort of, because you can't tell the lines between reality and non-reality, right? Or like just kind of making fun of are so blurred now, right? Reality is blurred. So when I saw this, I really was like, no, there's no way this is true.
Camp for pedophiles in Vermont is incredibly disturbing. So this is the MAP camp, or Minor Attracted Persons Camp, which is the name that pedophiles are trying to use to escape the stigma. So last year, somebody in Vermont discovered this event page online, and what they found was absolutely disturbing. Apparently, this camp for pedophiles was held September 19th through September 22nd of 2024, and they wouldn't reveal where they were camping. But this was a huge group of pedophiles camping alone in the woods, and some people said that this was happening in near proximity to a school. So on their website, they listed potential risks. They're talking about normal camping risks here, but then they said exposure to pedophiles and other weirdos. And also common risks with hiking and other outdoor activities. This is from their actual website. Blisters, getting lost, insect bites and stings, heat exhaustion, falling, tripping because you were distracted by a sexy minor instead of watching where you were going. No sexy children around to look at, a common problem when hiking. So obviously nobody would want this event near their hometown, especially near a school. And this turned into an entire storm in this small town in Vermont. They held community meetings with leaders from their town. Campgrounds denied that they allowed these people to camp out there. But according to this group, or from what we could find online, it did happen. And it might happen again next year. And this just goes to show that the normalization of this stuff is never okay. In my opinion, deserve the stigma, especially the ones that actually harm kids.
So I was like, what? That just seems totally like bull. Okay, bull crap. So I'm like, okay, I did a little searching on the internet, and what did I find? I found this. And this says, Vermont Daily Chronicle. State police investigating social media claims about Vermont pedophile map gathering this weekend. This has a, let me see if the audio plays.
State police investigating social media claims about VT pedophile map gathering this weekend. By Guy Page, Vermont Intelligence Center, fully involved in evaluating social media reports.
The Vermont police communicated on intense local, state, online social media buzz about maps minor attracted persons gathering reportedly scheduled to occur in Washington County beginning on Thursday, September 19th. Minor attracted person is another term for a pedophile. The social media posts have named 2 Washington County individuals as playing a role in the reporting gathering and also have speculated on the location. VDC is withholding these names and other details as neither the event nor the September 19th event have been confirmed. A website promoting Washington County map event was taken down from the internet. So it was taken down. Doesn't that seem like guilty, right? There's a lot. I'll put this here so you can read it. VSP is unable to monitor events or groups that engage in activities that courts have ruled are protected by the First Amendment, regardless of the views those groups express. If we receive reports of criminal contact, so I guess you can have a website that talks about this because you get to have freedom of, what is it? Freedom of expression, which is insane to me because these are children. At today's noontime press conference, VDC asked Governor Scott if he had any updates on these reports. He passed the question along to Vermont Department of Public Safety Deputy Commissioner Daniel, who said they have heard conflicting reports. Okay. The challenge, of course, is that no laws have been broken. Okay, so I guess you can talk about this. The Vermont Intelligence Center is fully involved, aware of all open sources. We will be prepared to protect the safety of all citizens. Wow, just so it's real. It's actually real. That thing. They took it down. So to me, when you take something down, doesn't that kind of insinuate a little bit of guilt, something, or you don't want people to see? Oh, wow, you guys. What a hard, difficult, insane story. that was. And I just showed you that these people are here and they are infiltrating the LGBTQIA poo community. We all have known it. We see it. It's in our faces, yet they're, I guess, protected by the First Amendment, which is actually insane. I guess you actually have to rape the child or the child before you get arrested, which just seems like, what? Shouldn't you want to prevent that? So with that, thank you all so much for supporting the channel and helping me to bring these important stories to you all. And let's get rid of these psychos and these gross people who are totally destroying this community that once was about just adults living their lives and not hurting other people and just finding space that we could not force you to take on our own beliefs just like everybody else and move forward in our lives. So thanks again. I do appreciate you all so much. Thanks for liking, subscribing to the channel. Comments are awesome. And I'll see you guys. I have to go wash myself. I feel dirty. Have a great rest of your day.